Across the United Kingdom, entire villages are disappearing. Schools are closing, shops are shutting, and generations of community are fading. But 10 remote places are fighting back, offering everything from subsidised crofts on Scottish islands to £1 homes in northern England. We are counting down the most compelling relocation schemes in Britain, ranked by how likely they are to actually deliver. We begin with a village in Northern Ireland, where that promise is far from guaranteed. In 10th place, Lisnaskea in County Fermanagh stands as a cautionary example of rural relocation incentives under pressure. For years, this Northern Irish village benefited from European Union Leader grants, supporting affordable housing and small business startups that attracted new residents. Since the end of 2022, Brexit has changed the landscape. The replacement, the United Kingdom Shared Prosperity Fund, now covers only about 70 to 80% of previous budgets, and several Fermanagh grant programs were paused through 2023 and 2024, while the council waited for funding clarity. Prospective movers are urged to check with the local council before making plans, as incentives here may be reduced or withdrawn altogether. In Lisnaskea, the promise of rural revitalisation is real, but for now, it comes with a warning. Number 9. New Radnor in Powys, Wales, offers a fresh take on rural revival through its Radnor Valley initiative. Here, the focus is on attracting craft makers and micro-enterprises with a blend of community-owned studio spaces and affordable tied housing. From 2021 to 2023, heritage barns in the village were converted into shared workshops, resulting in 5 to 8 new craft businesses. The initiative includes micro-grants, typically ranging from £5,000 to £10,000, to help creative entrepreneurs set up shop. Broadband remains patchy, but recent upgrades are making remote work more practical. While the scheme's reach is modest, it stands out for its stable, locally managed support and its commitment to building a creative, sustainable rural economy. Dolgellau and its surrounding villages in Gwynedd represent a distinctly Welsh approach to rural repopulation. Here, relocation incentives are closely tied to the preservation of local language and culture. Since 2021, Gwynedd Council has used revenue from a 1 to 2% second home tax to fund affordable housing grants, but with a unique condition: newcomers are expected to participate in free Welsh language classes, and some grants require a 5-year residency commitment. This policy emerged after heated council debates between 2020 and 2022, reflecting local concerns over the erosion of Welsh identity as more English speakers moved in. While these incentives make rural living more accessible, they also ask new residents to invest in the community's linguistic heritage, a trade-off that shapes who chooses to settle here. The result is a careful balancing act, offering real support to incomers, but on terms designed to sustain the cultural fabric that makes Gwynedd unique. Number 7. The Typhy Valley's Kilgarran cluster in Ceredigion, Wales, offers a practical response to rural decline through affordable housing development, not cash grants, but bricks and mortar solutions. Between 2016 and 2022, local authorities and housing associations coordinated the construction of 40 to 50 subsidised homes across several villages. These properties were priced 20 to 30% below local market rates, opening doors for young families, remote workers, and those seeking a foothold in rural Wales. About a quarter of new residents came from outside the county, bringing fresh energy into the community. The most immediate impact has been on local schools. After years of falling rolls, at least one primary school avoided closure, and enrollments have stabilised. By focusing on housing supply rather than direct payments, Ceredigion's approach has delivered measurable, if moderate, population renewal, demonstrating that the right kind of affordable housing can keep rural schools and services alive. Hordern's £1 house scheme promised a fresh start for derelict terraces, but the real story lies in the renovation gamble. Buyers snapped up homes for £1, agreeing to live there for 3 to 5 years, only to discover costs quickly ballooned, averaging £40,000 to £60,000 per property. Many ran into hidden asbestos, structural surprises, and planning snags, while banks hesitated to finance repairs in a struggling area. Of the 20 to 30 buyers, only about 40 to 60% finished renovations, and the rest walked away, leaving empty shells behind. Hordern's cautionary tale warns that cheap homes rarely mean easy wins. Number 5. Ruskington in Lincolnshire offers a quietly effective model of rural renewal through community-owned land trust housing. Here, the village worked with local partners to create 25 affordable homes, specifically designed to attract remote workers and families priced out of larger towns. These homes are sold or rented at prices 20 to 30% below the local market, making it possible for newcomers to settle without taking on the risks often found in renovation-led schemes. Since the project launched, an estimated 15 to 25 remote workers have moved in, bringing new skills and steady incomes. The impact reaches beyond housing. The primary school's role has grown by about 1%, reversing a slow decline, and a new cafe has opened, serving both locals and recent arrivals. Local authorities estimate that these new residents generate an extra £300,000 to £500,000 in annual village spending. Ruskington's approach shows how community-owned housing can stabilise schools, support local business, and make rural life viable for the next generation of remote workers. Number 4. The Isle of Lewis in the Outer Hebrides is taking a distinctly creative approach to rural revitalisation. Rather than offering just affordable housing, Lewis has bundled subsidised flats with access to Heritage Mill co-working spaces, aiming to attract remote workers and small enterprises. For a monthly fee ranging from £500 to £1,500, newcomers can secure both a place to live and a professional workspace, with fibre broadband speeds exceeding 30 megabits per second in the main hubs. This dual offer has seeded a small but growing creative cluster. By 2023, 10 to 15 micro-enterprises were operating from these renovated mills, spanning digital design, crafts, and consulting. The economic ripple is visible in local hospitality, as cafes and guest houses report increased business from both residents and visiting collaborators. By linking affordable living with enterprise infrastructure, Lewis is not only slowing population decline, but also diversifying the island's economy. This model stands out for its early success and the way it leverages digital connectivity to make rural living viable for the next generation of entrepreneurs. Coming to the top 3, South Uist in the Outer Hebrides offers a striking example of how targeted housing development can stabilise a remote island's future. The Lochboysdale project, launched in 2019 by the Western Isles Council and local housing associations, focused on building 15 to 20 new homes with subsidised rents set between £400 and £600 a month, well below the island's private market rates. This approach was designed not as a short-term grant, but as a durable solution for families and remote workers willing to commit to island life. Over 30 households have moved in since the scheme began, and for the first time in decades, South Uist's population decline has slowed, with some years even showing a modest uptick. Local retailers have reported a noticeable rise in demand, and new residents are credited with bringing fresh energy to community events and small businesses. By investing in tangible infrastructure rather than temporary incentives, South Uist has demonstrated that affordable, well-managed housing can turn the tide for rural communities facing long-term decline. In second place, North Uist's Carinish campaign stands as a rare example where a modest relocation grant directly kept a village school alive. By 2021, Carinish Primary faced closure, with enrolment dipping below the critical threshold set by Scottish education policy. In response, the Community Trust and the Western Isles Council launched a targeted incentive. Families willing to move to North Uist with school-aged children could receive a grant of £2,000 to £5,000, and they were given priority access to affordable housing. The stakes were clear. If the school dropped below 20 pupils, it risked permanent closure. Over the next 2 years, 8 to 12 new families arrived, enough to lift the roll to around 25 to 30 students by the 2022 to 2023 academic year. This cash incentive, though small, produced an outsized effect. Carinish Primary stayed open, preserving not only local education but the heart of the community. For families drawn to the Outer Hebrides, the promise was tangible: help with moving costs, a place to live, and the knowledge that their arrival made a measurable difference. North Uist's story is a reminder that sometimes the survival of a rural school hinges on just a handful of new arrivals and a council willing to invest in their future. And finally, in first place, the Isle of Ulva in Argyll and Bute stands as the UK's most ambitious rural relocation experiment. In 2017, Ulva's remaining residents voted for a community buyout, unlocking £4 million from the Scottish Land Fund and transforming the island's future. Now managed by Ulva Community Estate Limited, the island offers a rare combination: 30 residential plots, split between crofts and modern house sites, leased at just £150 per month, with eligibility based on a minimum 1-year commitment and skills that boost community resilience. Crofting here is not just tradition. It is a living, subsidised pathway for smallholders and new arrivals, supported by a clear governance model and priority for those with family or practical ties to the island. The population has climbed by about 50% since the buyout, rising to around 40 to 50 full-time residents. Newcomers face real challenges. Building costs run 20 to 30% higher than on the mainland. Every bag of cement and beam of timber must cross on a ferry, a journey now trimmed to 70 minutes, but still a logistical hurdle. Yet the incentives are comprehensive: secure tenure, below-market rent, and a community determined to welcome remote workers and entrepreneurs. Ulva's broadband received a major upgrade in 2024, making remote work practical for the first time. The model is holistic, combining housing, land, business support, and a transparent application process, and it sets Ulva apart as the gold standard for rural repopulation in the UK. For those willing to embrace island life, Ulva offers not just a place to live, but a chance to shape a community's future. Across all these remote regions, Scottish Islands, Welsh valleys, English villages, and Northern Irish countryside, one pattern stands out. Communities are turning decline into opportunity. Incentives aren't just offers, they're invitations to shape the future. Rural Britain isn't fading, it's adapting, and the next chapter depends on who chooses to answer.